This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, Don't mistake the new me for the old me. They can't stop me now, I'm with the home team. No beginner, I'm a winner. Took a couple losses, now I'm cooking, let me simmer. Yeah, tunnel vision, all I see is win, 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 win. This my city section where you been. We move faster alone, but go further together. We can weather any weather forever. A dream team, I done seen things. Confidence is on 100,000. I got family for miles, running up the mileage. Made it through some trials and some tribulations. Now me and the team out here celebrating, yeah. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, Forget the things you probably thought you knew. A new day is approaching, turn the gray skies into blue. I grew up on these same blocks, school of hard knocks. Had to get it on a hard time, took the hard shots, but we made it. Anticipated, highly decorated. The whole team is winning, celebrated. The victory is all mine, and everything is alright. And you know how to see things, confidence is on 100,000. I got family for miles, running up the mileage. Made it through some trials and some tribulations. Now me and the team out here celebrating, yeah. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like,
There we go. All right. What is up, everybody? Let me change this date real quick. Welcome to Spike Kool-Aid for the 25th of February, 2026. Shout out to everybody. Nope, 2 dots. Shout out to everybody that has been waiting. So we had a handyman. He came out, had to fix some things. And he didn't give us a time. So right about 10 minutes before I was going to go live, my wife was like, he's on his way. I was like, bruh. So appreciate everybody and their patience. Today is Wednesday, right? Today is an exciting day, man. Exciting day because my son, after 33 months, is getting his braces off. So I think I'm more excited than he is. So he can eat some more Takis finally. Let me see. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Will, Donkey Kong, Michael, Claus. What up? A Union Brand. What up, Doe? Kelly is in the building. Schiff. What up? Derm, my man. What's up? Now, let me say this. Can I talk to y'all real quick? You know, I always got some nuggets to drop, right? Now, let me just be very clear about something. As you guys know, and let me know in the chat if you can hear me. First of all, I was sitting, I didn't even realize my seat was low. So I felt kind of weird. I was like, why is my microphone, so I found out that my seat was a couple inches low. But give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me, because I know it's been a couple problems with the audio and what's happening. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday on Lion Syndicate, my stream was skipping. And that was internet related. That was not based off my system. All right. Thank you, Eagle. I appreciate y'all, man. I know this is a little later than we usually get on, but again, I had to wait for the repair guy to come out. So today we're going to take a listen at Dan Campbell's presser from yesterday that we did not get to hear. He went on after Dan Campbell did. Brad Holmes did. And I didn't want to make the stream too long, so we didn't do that one, but we're going to do it today. Michael, appreciate that, man. But let me just say something. So I went on a bit of a rant on Monday, and that rant was in regards to the state of YouTube. All right. And as a 47-year-old man and a guy that's had a YouTube channel since 2000, and I think I created my original YouTube channel, you know, the one that you comment on, in 2007. I didn't start making content until my son was born, so about 2 years later. And then I tried to do a couple things and stuff like that. So I've been around for a long time, but I've been consistent for probably almost 10 years. Like, I've been in the Detroit Lions space. And just like everything, and we talk about like Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes evolving and how you have to evolve and become more. You have to be more. If you're going to be able to compete and stay, like, the world is evolving. 20 years ago, we didn't have smartphones. We had cell phones. If you guys probably don't remember this. If you are, I don't know, under the age of maybe 20, 25 or 20, you weren't even born yet. But remember, from my OGs in the comment section, remember when we had to, how we used to text? Remember, it used to cost you to text. Remember when you had to wait until 9 o'clock to call whoever you wanted to, right? So let's say it was a girl or a guy you was chopping it up with. You really wanted to talk to him, right? You like, how you doing? You wanted to talk to but you had to wait. So it's 8:59. 8:59, you sitting, you got your cell phone in your hand. You got your cell phone in your hand at 8:59. 9 o'clock hit. If you was like me and you wanted to be careful, you waited till 9:01, 9:02. You know what I'm saying? Then you called whoever you wanted to. You could talk as much as you wanted between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. All right? Remember, you had to text? And remember how we used to text? Not only did you have to pay per text, or you got like 500 a month. Remember when you used to get 1,000 texts a month? Remember how we used to text? If you wanted to text A, what did you have to do? Or you want to text a C, you had to hit the button 3 times. And as far as the internet on your phone, forget about it, right? So why am I reminiscing, going back and nostalgic? Because the world evolved, and you have to be able to evolve. And I understand how YouTube is evolved. But as I stated on Monday, this space is something different. It is not about, it's more of a way to, it's not as authentic as it used to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys knew this, and we'll get off our history lesson in a minute. But YouTube originated as a dating website. That was the whole point of it. It wasn't even called YouTube. It was called something else. And it was meant for people to start dating. Like, it was, I don't know how they were going to use it, but that was how they were going to use it. And of course, it's evolved into the second biggest search engine in the world under its owner, Google. And it has replaced television. It has turned regular people like myself into a celebrity, which I'm not, but it's created people like iShowSpeed and Kai Cenat and those guys, right? And of course, you can say who's a plant versus who's not, but it's taken a regular person and been able to make it easy or easier for them to become a celebrity. And I think because of that, a lot of journalists, people who dedicated years and decades into their craft, are upset at what we do. But aside from that, the creators in this space, they have lost themselves to the structure of everything. And I think that some of them have sacrificed integrity and morality. Like, when it comes to this team, and I know you're like, dude, it's a football team, right? It's not a big deal. And in some regards, you're right. But when it comes to this team, it's a really big deal. It's a big deal because we have been given an opportunity to turn a passion into a way to make money, and in some cases, a business. I mean, think about Woodward Sports. They're not here if YouTube doesn't exist, right? So we're able to, myself, you can take your opinion on anything and put it on the internet. I think for the first time in all the years I've been doing this, the 2026 offseason is probably the most important for me personally. I put in my season ticket, wait list money a couple years ago. They recommended that you get 2 tickets. So I got 2 tickets, even though I'm only one person. My wife might go with me a couple times. My son might go with me a couple times. One of you might go with me a few times. I will have essentially an extra ticket every single game. But that's the price I was willing to pay to be a season ticket holder. But this year, I don't know, man. It's something different about what's happening. This team, the Lions are not okay. They're not okay. I don't care what Brad Holmes says, what Dan Campbell, who the press conference we'll get into in a second. The Lions are not okay. Brad Holmes said something yesterday, and it really, really grind my gears. Like, you know how you know a relationship is over? You know a relationship is over if you can't stand the person's voice. Then it's time to go. Brad Holmes is becoming that guy for me. I would love to chop it up with Brad on a personal level. Maybe know him as Brad Holmes and not General Manager Brad Holmes. But he's becoming that, and I feel like not everybody has to feel like me, of course, but there needs to be some truth, bro. There needs to be some truth. Brad Holmes said yesterday on the Rich Eisen show, if you haven't seen it, you can go search his channel. You can watch the full 18-minute interview, that the window for the Super Bowl, his quote was, "I don't believe in windows when it comes to people that have said your Super Bowl window has closed." As a matter of fact, let me see. I can't bring in desktop audio anymore without bringing in the actual browser input. While I appreciated what he was trying to do and what he meant and the bar he was trying to drop, dude, this is the NFL. Of course there's a window. Like who are you trying to fool us, or are you trying to fool yourself? You trying to convince yourself that the window, he said he likes to look at it like there are no windows. Again, that tells you everything you need to know. So for me, what up? 1, 2, 3. For me, I need to see something. Dern says ABC texting format where you had to hit the same number multiple times for a different letter. Flint Lions fan says Brad is the type of guy to invite you to a restaurant and expect you to pay. That's funny. So why did I say that? Why did I go down that whole? And this is directed at one specific person. Okay. Interviews from the combine don't make you important. They don't make you important. You'll be surprised. It amazes me, and we'll get into the interview, but it amazes me how I am a regular person. And when I get the love at the stadiums, it's every single time it's mind-blowing. From little kids to adults to women, you know what I'm saying? Found out that a lady in California watches me. Her husband's not a fan, but she's a fan. They're both Lions fans, but her husband is not a fan of me and my takes, but she watches me, which I think is super cool. But I have no connection to the Lions other than my fandom. And that's the type of love I get in the stadium. And when I go out, you know what I'm saying, away from Detroit. Combine interviews, being credentialed does not make you important. It does not make you special. I just want to be very, very clear about that. I saw all of this exclusive footage yesterday from the combine. I'm like, the only thing about it was we got to hear the questions. That was it. Why do I not want to be credentialed? Because one, and we'll get into the press conference, but you know what, y'all? I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for the way that I am. I'm in like confession mode this year, where I've just had enough of the shenanigans. Like, I have thought about many times just walking away because of where we're at. This team needs fixing. And I feel like you also need a better class of content creator. I truly, you know who I miss? And I know he was a very outspoken person. And I know some of you might have had a problem with him. I wasn't a fan of everything he did because I honestly did not watch it. And I did not agree with it, which is cool. I miss Adam Baydun. I miss him. He was one of the realest, unapologetic people on this platform. He did not care what you thought of his takes, even though if you hated it, if you loved it, he was going to tell you what he thought. And I was not a fan, and still not a fan of Woodward Sports. I was not a fan of him because of Woodward, but I tried to separate the two. And when he started his own thing, that's when I watched it. I miss him on this platform because he reminds me a lot of myself. I might be toned down a little bit, a lot. You know what I'm saying? Minus the profanity, minus a lot of other things. And this is not about anything but sports. So don't make it like that. Anyway, I just feel like where this space is becoming is just, it's like, what happened? What happened to it? What happened to authenticity? You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know. It just, everybody wants to be the next best thing. Everybody wants to be recognized by the Lions. I don't care. I don't care. I much rather get love from you than them, because you're going to treat me special. They're going to treat me just like a guy. I'm just a guy. I am one of you, right? So when I say treat me special, I mean like, yo, when I see people in Ford Field or California, they're like, yo, I hear my name called and it's sent. You know what they call me? Syndicate, right? So it's a crowd of people. I hear syndicate. I'm looking around. I have no idea who's calling me, or I'll see a person see me. Sometimes I catch them looking. Sometimes I don't, but they'll come out of nowhere and say, I watch you all the time. And I'm like, so anyway, that's my confession, my 15-minute testimonial. But if you want to know like what's happening, that's what's happening. For the first time making content in this manner, I don't feel excited about where this team is heading. And Brad Holmes is he's the one that you just, it's over. You know it's over because you just can't stand their voice. And that's where I'm at. So Brad Holmes doesn't believe that there's a window. Do you? Do you believe that the Lions, that teams, not just the Lions, but that Super Bowl windows are a thing? And I'm just like, what are we talking about here? What are we, like, low key, it was dumb. It was dumb, right? So anyway, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. If I didn't have to, like, my system is so complicated now, but I'll just say this. One of my goals when I first started doing this is to get into a studio and to give people opportunities, fans, to speak about their team. So like guys that are regular people, if they wanted to do content, could do content. I mean, you have to have some experience and stuff like that, but the 97 won the tickets, and you got like Rico, the lap dog, and you got Valenti, who is not a fan. He's not even a fan of the team. So I just felt like, and I guess this is the point that I'm trying to make, is that I feel like the fan voice has been lost, or I take that back. We as content creator fans, we've allowed our voice to be lost behind the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. So anyway, I'll be right back. All right, I think I'm good now. I had to sneeze, and sneezes can turn real nasty. It ain't nothing worse than sneezing, and you think you're just going to sneeze, and then you do way, way more than that. All right, so let's get into what you guys came here for. And let me just be very brief about this. If you have not seen my reaction to Brad Holmes, that was done on Lion Syndicate yesterday. You guys can take a look at that. We would have done this on that channel as well, but of course it was two different interviews and I didn't want everything to drag out. So if you want to know my opinion on that, then you guys can check that out. I wanted to check something real quick. Okay. Yeah. All right. I won't talk about it again because I just talked about it a few days, like literally one day ago. But I won't make it into a segment, but I would love to get you guys' opinion if you had time to marinate on it or anything like that. What was and where is the chat at? Because it's not moving at all. So I don't know if you guys are commenting but this show is, let me reset this. This show does need your input. So if you are able to comment, that would be awesome. If you're able to chat. All right, Will, appreciate you. If not, just let me know so I can not acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? I'll get into my dialogue, which I'm very good at doing, by the way, if you don't know already. Brad Holmes. Yesterday, he spoke of David Montgomery, and I wish that, as a matter of fact, let's do it. Don't go anywhere. The stream is gonna buffer for like 30 seconds. I gotta shut down my system. Don't go anywhere. Technology. Okay, we should be back now. Let me know if we back. All right, so long story short, my system, it's weird, man. So the handyman came over. I had to cut the power. So I think because of that and the way, anyway, technology, that's all I'll say. So let's get into it. There we go. All right, so we've talked about this, it seems like every other day. But this video is going to be it's about a subject that we've rehashed numerous times. And to be fair, there's not a ton happening in the Lion space, but I think that this is worthy of a quick turnaround video. And that is the dialogue regarding David Montgomery. And I've talked about this, I've made segments, and I really tried to avoid making another one in such quick succession, but I think this is worth talking about. Brad Holmes had his combine presser yesterday, and we heard from him for the first time since the week that the season ended. And in that press conference at the end of the season, he spoke of David Montgomery. This is not going to be about Brad Holmes and the decision that he has to make per se, or may make. This is going to be the narrative that I think that is being pushed around that I wish that David Montgomery would clarify. I wish I could ask him. I mean, I could ask him. I wish he would answer it, that he would give us an answer. Because what I saw yesterday and what I've been seeing on Twitter and on the internet, to me, is painting a picture of David Montgomery that I don't think exists. Brad Holmes yesterday. Now, mind you, David Montgomery is under contract for 2 more seasons. 2 more seasons. I believe the Lions may have a potential out this year, but he's under contract for 2 more seasons. He was extended after year 1. His initial deal was 3 years, 2023, 2024, and 2025. If David Montgomery hadn't signed an extension, he would be a free agent this year, but he signed an extension after 1 year of being a Detroit Lion. That tells you a lot. But the narrative that I am hearing that I don't like is that David Montgomery may not want to be here. I find that extremely hard to believe. The way that he dedicated himself in Chicago, the way that he spoke of a regime he didn't even know of at the time in year 1, back in 2023, and he talked about playing for Dan Campbell. He talked about playing with DeAndre Swift at the time. Where is this coming from? And the argument that I hear is that, well, he's been told that he's not going to get the ball or he wants to be an RB1. That's the narrative that I think is false. You know why I say that? For the 3 years that David Montgomery has been a Detroit Lion, you have not heard a single peep out of him about playtime. Even this year, he just said he wants to be utilized. But there's a difference between this year and the years prior. The difference is the guy calling the plays. There was not a single one. The moment we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, if David Montgomery wanted to go, let's give him year one. Let's say, okay, year one, Jahmyr's a rookie. Maybe they'll lean on me some more, which didn't happen. But I doubt that David Montgomery felt that way because we took a running back in the top 15. That's not a guy who's going to get eased into the game. That's a guy that's going to come and expected to make an immediate impact. So year one, we didn't hear there was no complaints in camp. He came in. Not only that, this big brother bond was formed with Jahmyr Gibbs. Turned into Sonic and Knuckles. Do you understand this? If David Montgomery wanted to be RB1, there is no Sonic and Knuckles. There's not a thing. These two were everywhere as a team. Commercials, interviews. So all of a sudden, after 2 years of Sonic, it was like a phenomenon. After 2 years of Sonic and Knuckles, all of a sudden, David wants to be RB1. I don't buy it at all. David is a team player who he said in his interview, when he said in an interview that he gets offended when he gets hurt. That's what he said. Why would a guy who gets offended when he gets hurt all of a sudden want to be RB1? He's no longer a team player. It doesn't make any sense to me. But you might be asking, well, Derek, where is this coming from? Well, according to Brad Holmes yesterday, Brad Holmes made it seem like David Montgomery may not want to be here. And although I don't necessarily buy it, I will say if David Montgomery no longer wants to be here, it's because, to me, in my opinion, he feels or somebody in the organization convinced him that he is not valued. And that would make any man want to leave. A situation that they don't feel valued. And you might be, well, feel valued as in how? David Montgomery in Detroit has never been the lead back. All of a sudden he wants to start being. It doesn't make any sense to me. What I feel like, if there's any issue from David Montgomery, is the fact that you obviously have a running back that is capable of getting yards, dragging people, running people over, and it was almost like they purposely stayed away from him. Jahmyr Gibbs is getting stuffed time after time at the line, no yards, losing yards. You have a battering ram who every time he touches the ball, 95% of the time is going to get positive yards, whether he's contacted or not, and you purposely do not use him. That is the issue if David Montgomery had any, and I would love to have the dialogue. I would love to know, because Monty, he has a lot to say about people who do what I do, right? And who speak on things that they may or may not know. So I would want clarification. I would love clarification, because to me, it seemed like Brad Holmes was trying to make it seem like all of a sudden David Montgomery has a problem. And this is the second time he's done that. And when I have not heard in the 3 years, like I said, and to me, the biggest giveaway is you are not going to be, if David Montgomery had a problem, think about this. Sonic and Knuckles, right? It is his game. It's his movie. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 4. It's not, unless the game is titled Sonic and Knuckles and they had that game, then it's Sonic's game, right? But I don't think David Montgomery viewed himself as a sidekick, because he wasn't. He was 1B of 1A. So those are my thoughts. I did not like what Brad Holmes did yesterday, and maybe there is some truth to it, but I would love to hear what Monty has to say himself. I just don't like this narrative that we're all of a sudden painting about a guy who said nothing, who's given no indication that he wants to leave. All of a sudden, we want to keep him, but he might not want to be here. So I don't know. I'm not buying it. All right. So Here's what I'll say. And I'm going to say this with all due respect. I am a human being. Okay, if the sound starts lacking, that is not on my end. Okay, go into and start the stream over. Exit the stream and come back in the stream. I am a human being, right? I am not a drone. I am not a robot. I am not AI. Every word that comes out of my mouth will not be about the Detroit Lions. Sometimes we'll spend 15 minutes talking about real life things. If there's anything that I know, it's about algorithms, and I know what you guys came for. But at the same time, I'm not a drone. So sometimes we will deviate, and I will try my best to get it back on track. And if you don't like that, you don't have to watch. Okay? So whether we talk about paternity test or whatever, you know what I'm saying? If it turns into Maury Povich, that's what it's going to be, right? So if you don't like it, you don't have to be here. And that's just that. King Turner says, like he still stays here during the offseason. Shouts out Detroit small businesses and all that. It was just a bad O-line and OC last year. He loves it here. Right, King Turner. So if he loves it here, why would Brad? And again, maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe I want to find something wrong. Because I look, I'm at the point, I just don't like the GM. I'm there. I'm there. Like, I've convinced myself this is not the guy. I've convinced myself of that. Yesterday in the Rich Eisen show, you know what he said a lot. If you watched it, he did it again. He kept talking about the Rams. And I'm like, dog, don't keep the Rams out your mouth. You're not the Rams. You're not the Rams. He also seemed very uncomfortable on Rich Eisen as well. It was the first time I think he's been in person. I think Brad has been on the phone, but he's been in person. I think it's because I think it's because he wants to get paid equal as Jameer, Derek, or a little less what he's worth. You know what, Sergey? I disagree with that. Okay. Let's be honest. Real talk. Why are we thinking this? What has David Montgomery done to make us think this? What has he done? He hasn't said anything. He hasn't done anything. Sergey, I don't think it has anything to do with money. David Montgomery knows his strengths. That's what this issue is. What would you say is, hold on. Situation. Okay. So if the sound goes out, apparently that is a YouTube thing. I don't know what is happening. I don't know if that is a result of like YouTube, because last week YouTube was out worldwide. So yeah, I don't know. So people saying no sound, leave and come back in. Because when I play it back, it's fine. So I don't know what's happening. I don't think that was happening before, y'all. So I don't know what's going on. I don't think that's on. I'm getting no warnings on my side that there's a sound issue. So that could be a YouTube thing. But, okay, Lions fan says, I think he wants to stay in Detroit, but Dan may have hurt the trust of David's potential due to assumptions. And I think that's kind of what it is. It's like, think about this. You have David Montgomery saying, I'm right here, right? You brought me in to be an asset to the team. And yet I'm sitting on the bench. And to make matters worse, and we haven't even got into the press conference yet. Let me get into, to make matters worse, it is apparent that the Jahmyr Gibbs is not working. And it's not Jahmyr's fault. It's the game plan. It's the offensive line. There's a number of things. But let's be honest. Jahmyr Gibbs was getting stuffed a lot last year. And then Monty would come in the game, and then Monty would blow it up. And somebody said something that I thought was very interesting in yesterday's show, or it was the day before, is that David would wear defenses down and Jahmyr Gibbs is a home run hitter. You know what I think it could be? Maybe it was the offensive coordinator because, again, not a single peep, not a single problem out of Ben Johnson. When Ben Johnson was here, no one said anything. We buying Sonic and Knuckles t-shirts. Do you notice you didn't hear that at all last year, did you? You didn't hear it at all because it wasn't there. My question is, why is it not there? For what? You have a capable running back who has a completely different skill set from Jahmyr Gibbs in a world, right? Look at what the Rams did with Corum and Williams. It was literally, you know what? They were the new low-key Sonic and Knuckles, even though it's more like Sonic and another Sonic, right? We saw it. It works, and we get away from it. That's what I think David Montgomery is frustrated about. I don't think it has anything to do with him wanting to be RB1. The dude is almost 30 years old, all right? Shout out to the 30-year-old. Derrick Henry said he was washed, and he's apparently not, right? Seems like when you hit 30, oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, so, you know, the thing is, and look, I gotta tell y'all this. When people, if you don't like something that I do, all you have to do is not watch, right? If you don't like what I'm talking about at the moment, you find something else to watch. That's it. So Donkey Kong, that's what the problem is. So you hoping it turned into a talk show or whatever, a sports show. It is a sports show. It's a real life sports show. All right. Lori, how you doing? How are you? Let me see. They did not run the ball with the dynamic duo like last season. That's my point, Lori. But enough rambling from me. And I swear I didn't wake up feeling this way. I talked to my the handyman that came to our house, and I think what it was so man, he lost somebody in his life very dear to him not too long ago, and I think talking to him kind of got me in a different mood. That's what that is. But everything I said is true. I didn't change. I'm not, going to change what I said, and I meant everything I said. But I just feel like, again, it's been more commercial than authentic, most of the stuff on YouTube. And again, of course, I had to take a shot too. I had to take a shot, man, because getting combine footage does not make you important. Like, you think you credential, so you special. Yeah, okay, all right. It's funny, people think, I don't know why people don't understand how YouTube works. YouTube is called YouTube. That's what it's called. It's called YouTube. It's not, I want to interview the players tube. Oh, man. Me is what makes me different from every other Lions creator. We all talk about the Detroit Lions. We could all stick cameras in their face and ask them questions. Would they ask the ones I asked, though? Plus, so let me say this, and then I'll bring in this, because I was going to say something about being credentialed. Do you guys know why I don't care to be credentialed? Does anybody want to take a guess? Why do you think Derek doesn't care to be credentialed? I love those guys. Those guys help me do what I do. Why do you think Derek doesn't want to be credentialed? While you're thinking about that, I'll tell you. Derek doesn't want to be credentialed because Derek wants to cater to you, right? If I become credentialed, there's no more time for you. You take a back seat, right? The fan, the guys that put me, the people, the viewers that put me where I am, that even gave me the platform to be credentialed or to think about being credentialed, you take a back seat. And this is no shade to any of those guys. That's what they want to do. I am not doing this for that. I'm doing this for you. I want to have conversations with you I want to react with you after a game. I don't want to sit in a press box and not be able to cheer because I want to be credentialed. I don't want to be asking Brad Holmes some questions he can't answer. I want to be talking to you about our team, right? Then I have to ask questions. I have to drive home. I have a family, and then so you come second. It's not about that. It ain't about me being credentialed. I don't want to sit in Allen Park. I want to wild out. I want to be a fan. I'm a media personality. That's all I am, who is a fan. I do not want to be, and that's why I don't want to be credentialed. Credential, what does that mean? I get access to ask Brad, hey, Brad, why did you re-sign Marcus Davenport? Okay. He's going to get the same questions from me every single time. Do you think you should be extended right now? You think they're going to want me in there? No, they're not. You think he's going to answer? Brad, do you think that you've earned an extension from Sheila? Another one? Brad, how long do you think a general manager should have? You know why? That's why they don't let fans ask questions. I'm a fan. I'm not an analyst. So I want to be with other fans. That's why I don't want to get credentialed. I don't care nothing about being close to Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes. And, look, they don't know me. I meet y'all. I meet you at the stadium. I don't meet them. They don't know I exist. I meet you, but you know I exist. You value me. What do I care about asking them questions they can't answer? Maybe they get to know me by being a credentialed person, but look, they don't make me feel special. Y'all do. What is this? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why when I see people, credential, they in there asking questions about Tate Ratliff like they important. You know what? When you get into Allen Park, talk to me then. And that's all you wanted to be anyway, is what you wanted to feel special by the Lions. The Lions don't do anything. They don't do nothing for me. Y'all do. Y'all sent me to California. You did. Not them. If I would have gone through them, I heard, and I'm not going to put too much information out there. I'm not going to say who it was. I heard, check this out, that a particular content creator, okay, I'll put it like this. They don't make content on YouTube. The Lions invited them somewhere, okay, because they have a pretty decent, and I'm going to leave it to your imagination. They have a pretty decent following, okay? They're very active. The Lions invited them, but they didn't want to pay for them to get there. You guys you are the reason I went to California and got to California. You know why I want to be at the NFC Championship game? To bring the people who can't go the opportunity to see it, to see something they've been waiting their whole life to see, is what does an NFC North celebration look like at Ford Field or on the road? That's why. So I don't care to be credentialed. That's why Derek, Lion Syndicate, doesn't give a fart about credentials. For what? I mean, no disrespect. Those people can ask the questions that I can make videos about. But I want to be part of y'all, not, when you go to Allen Park, you can't even have your phone on the field. You got to jot notes. I want to have fun, bro. I don't want to. Anyway, let me get into, I'm on one today. I'm on one today because I feel like that, like I said, the fan has gotten lost in this whole thing. Yes, losing Danny is going to hurt. Okay. Danny or Tori? For me, it was Danny. I think Danny was more, she had a different type of swag. I think her swag fit better with the current regime. I think Tori was great for, my wife is upstairs dropping stuff. I think Tori was great for Patricia. She had a good counterbalance to them, so anyway, Sweet Salty says, personally, I feel Brad's learning, or leaning into possibly trading Demo into a package for an elite player. All right, so sweet. All right, so here's what I'll say about David Montgomery, about trading Demo, is let's say we trade David Montgomery, we get that package deal. We get that, right? We still need a running back. So I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm not saying that he can't carry the ball 30 times, but I feel like David Montgomery, one of them people that will get stronger, like Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? The more touches, the stronger he gets. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, right now, 17 to 22. You run the ball, what is it? 70. We talked about this last week. 70 plays in a game on offense, right? Jared Goff, reasonably, you would want to keep Jared Goff in the 30s. Okay? Jared Goff was like, I mean, you would probably want him 30 for 37. You know what I'm saying? To me, 33, 42, that's high. That's high. I would like to keep JG somewhere in the 30s. We know that 20s, anything in the 20s is low for Jared Goff and our offense. I do think 50-something is too high, right? I don't think we've won a game when Jared Goff has thrown the ball 50-some times. Maybe we have. I know it's usually not a good look if Jared Goff has to throw the ball 50-plus times. It usually doesn't work out for any quarterback because that means the run game is not working. They're teeing off on you, okay? So our sweet spot is for JG to be, I would say, between 32 and 38 attempts per game. But that, like I said, that's low. Jared Goff is like 41 for 33 or whatever. So I'm like, if Jared Goff's sweet spot is 35, that leaves what? 35 plays. Jahmyr Gibbs, 17. David Montgomery, 18. Jahmyr Gibbs, 18. David Montgomery, 17. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know, 19. David Montgomery, 16. You talking about a literal, that is the epitome of 1-2 punch. 1-2 punch, bruh. Ben Johnson is a snake. And I thought what he was doing was like, it seems like he got away from what was working. But I will say this. When he did use those two guys, they felt like a 1-2 punch. And it worked. And then we stopped. All right. So let's get into this. I have not heard this. I don't think I'm going to be as critical as Dan as I am of Brad. So yeah, let's get into it because we're like at minute 48. This is Dan Campbell yesterday at the Combine. That beat ain't bad, man. Dang, that is loud. That is loud. Let me know if it's loud for y'all, because that blew my eardrums out.
Been a lot.
Cannot hear nothing. Jesus. I can't hear nothing, bro. I can't hear a thing. Let me turn that down, because that blew my eardrums out.
It's transpired here, really since the end of the season. We're still in the process of kind of looking at everything, the cut-ups, offense, defense, special teams.
Okay, let me see if I can grab something. Okay.
How we doing?
What's up, DC? Good to see you, bro. Now, this guy, love him to death. It's refreshing to see Dan.
Been a lot that's transpired here, really since the end of the season. We're still in the process of kind of looking at everything, the cut-ups, offense, defense, special teams. Defense is really what we've been involved in. I've been involved in with Shep and those guys because we have.
Okay, hold on. I don't plan to stop this as much. And I'm sorry I cut him off because it seemed like he was about to get into something.
The staff intact. Fortunate to be able to keep Jim O'Neal. He had an opportunity to go with the Jets, so that worked out good for us. So really we got the staff still intact. and it's about cleaning up some of those little things. And then offensively, it's Drew kind of getting up to speed with our terminology. He's been getting together with golf, and and just trying to make sure that we get everything that kind of makes sense for him, but for us as well, and he in golf. And then we'll start hitting the cut-ups. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Hey, shout out to the dude with the selfie stick. That's crazy. Yo, I mean, you blocking the NFL footage, big dog. That's crazy.
Drew was fortunate to find him. I've always liked Drew from afar, facing those guys. But then just watching common opponents, through the years, what he was able to do offensively, I always liked it. There was creativity to it. Certainly they've used a lot of heavy sets lately, but that's where the roster has gone. That's not something that I foresee us being. We're going to be versatile, but he gives us that ability to make the most of what we have. And I just think he understands the protections. I understands the run game. He understands the pass game, certainly, quarterback play. So I think he's got it all. He's coached receivers, coached tight ends, coached quarterbacks, and I think that's important. It was important for this one. We had, a lot of different guys to interview. It was great. The process was great. A lot of good men, good coaches, great coaches, really. But he was the right fit. It was. I felt that within 20 minutes. So it was really good. So fired up to have him. And then one of the guys I was really high on through that whole process was Mike Kafka too. And we were fortunate to get him really pass game coordinator. So that worked out really well. But a guy who's been our interim head coach, has coached the quarterbacks, has coached some good quarterbacks.
All right, yo, I got to jump in. I love this dude. I know we cannot stand some of his decision makings, and sometimes we hate it. I love Dan Campbell. Tell me, let's see if you guys if we got this like a very similar thinking. Most of the time, y'all spot on. What do you see with Dan Campbell that is different from what you saw with Brad Holmes? Put it in the comment section. If you don't see it, you'll see it. It'll jump out to you.
Running offense. So he's got a good perspective on things. He's got some pretty good ideas. So anyway, that was good. Steve Oliver, we promoted from assistant O-line coach to tight end coach. He's earned that.
Okay, hold on. Let me try something as well. I wanted to do this, and I should have done it in a test. Maybe I can do it real quick. Lupe says, "And Dan, we trust and no BS." Yes. Brad just copied what Dan says. Yes. The confidence is what I was looking for. Dan is energetic and is passionate about our team. Yes. It is a different level of confidence. So it looks like that Dan Campbell, who we would assume had more dealings with the Kafka, Petsing, right? Seeing as how he's going to have to be, he's the head coach of the football team. It seems like that they had the utmost confidence in these guys. I know when you play this back, the audio and visuals are they're a little off. So I'm going to see if I can fix that in real time. And to do that, I have to add a delay to the sound. It was driving me crazy yesterday. So if it's not fixed now, it will be fixed very soon. Trust me.
He's really been. I've interviewed him twice over the last two times we've had that position open, and it was time. He's earned it. So
yeah, you know what? That too. He says but it's not as much. It's not as much. You know what I think Brad Holmes should do is Brad Holmes should. These are regular people though. Brad Holmes should go to probably a speech coach and try to get that under control.
Up for him. Guys are excited. And that's where we're at, really. That's where we're at. Now it's just about how do we improve from here. Brad and I have had a number of conversations. Free agency's coming on. But, for me, it needed to start with what can we do a little bit better as coaches. We're not that far off. We still had a top 5 offense. Our efficiency was a little off. So how do we get a little bit better with what we do as coaches? And now it's about the roster. Where do we upgrade ourselves? Where do we bring in some competition? So excited for another year, man.
Okay. So far, and you know what? I could just be so sick of Brad Holmes. And I know he's the general manager. And I know he has to be discreet and he has to do a bunch of theatricality. But there are general managers that'll tell you exactly what they're feeling. Exactly what they need to do. So far, and I'm convinced that Dan Campbell is safe. He would have to become an idiot to be the one not to be renewed. I believe that Dan Campbell is safe. Just based off of body language, based off of demeanor, based off confident swag. I've always thought that Dan Campbell was safer than Brad Holmes. But I like what he said about Brad and I like what he said, even though I might not have been a huge fan of the Petsing hiring. He said, take care of the coaches. He used the word improved. And Brad and I have had a lot of conversations. Let's get the coaches in play. Now let's get this roster up and improve. So if from the way Dan Campbell speaks and the way he spoke, and remember, Dan Campbell led the offseason press conferences. He was the first person we heard, and it seemed like Brad followed him. I don't think it's a surprise that Brad goes first. Well, this is Brad's time to shine versus during the season where it's, the other way around. But now we're going to see how much are the Lions going to improve, because we've heard core guys, we've heard our guys, blah, blah, blah. We still have those. But the word that we keep hearing, specifically from Dan Campbell, is improve. So what is that going to translate to on the roster, right? Think about what I'm saying. They said improve, which literally means we cannot do what we just did, right? Like, it makes sense. So Dan Campbell, the way he's speaking, has me thinking maybe this might be the year that they try to genuinely improve and not follow the same path they've been on. Now, again, if I can make out the questions, I'll try to pause it. What's up, Jay? Pause it and translate to y'all what was said. But yeah, it's crazy. I think somebody told that person that they had to move their selfie stick. I don't remember the exact moment it disappeared, but it was blocking the shot. And I knew that wasn't going to stand.
Yeah.
It looked like Dan can't hear
I think
either.
I think that's a fair assessment, but I think
this was a
more
defensive
as,
question.
this is my, so most time I've had to be able to sit down with the defense and just go play by play, cut up by cut up. Let me go back. I think Shep did a good job, and I think he learned a lot, and I think he grew a ton. And I love the staff that's around him. I really do, man. I think those guys from Casey Rogers to Shea Townsend, to get Jim O'Neill back, Sean Dion Hamilton, I just think it's a really good unit, man. It's an experienced unit. I think we got a lot of flexibility on what we do. Man, we just got to tighten the screws on a few things. But I love the staff, and I love what we do. Man, are there things, we've already been through the cut-up, like, man, if we could go back, maybe we would play a little bit more of this or a little less of this. And so I think there's a lot of clarity in some things, adjusting when we get a few injuries here and there. What can we do better? What do the players, what can they do better? How complex is this really? Is it out of their wheelhouse? It's just we're asking somebody to do something they cannot do. So I think it's to be able to go into year 2 and learn and grow with a guy who is receptive. He's always looking for answers. He's always looking for new ways to do things. I'm talking about Shep, and with an experienced staff around him. So that fired me up. And so that really has been where my focus has been over the last, call it 3 weeks.
All right, so we know for a fact that Dan Campbell is a fan of Shep. He's not going anywhere. We knew that already. And now he feels like that he's going to grow in year 2. A little bit concerned with that simply from a roster talent standpoint. I was getting nervous until he said something about the wheelhouse of the players. And that's a talent situation. If we're asking them to do something they can't do. So eventually, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are going to have to say the word talent. And they're going to have to say we need talent. They're going to have to say that. So Shep, I mean, we knew he wasn't going anywhere, but it's just a matter now of what year 2 is going to look like under him.
Yeah. Well, your first question to that was just about, so I've left him alone. We had a conversation right when the season ended, about just him taking his time to figure out what he really feels like he wants to do, can do. And so I've left him alone.
I think this is a Taylor Decker question. So after Brad Holmes said what he said, Dan Campbell is now saying because remember, this was yesterday, and this was before the Taylor Decker information came out. I'm telling you, man, I think that, yes, Brad and Dan and what they said affected Taylor, but I really, truly believe it was the Trent Williams news that put some pep in Decker's step.
On there. I don't want to say we haven't had a conversation, but I'm leaving that between us. But, there'll be some, look, if it's not, then we got to find a guy, right? But if it is, we still got to find a guy, because as much as I love Deck, it's he's got some things that are going to need some management.
All right, Twitter was in an uproar yesterday. They were in an uproar, and you guys are right. It looks like we still got to find a guy. We still got to find a guy.
And that's kind of where we're at, and so we're one way or another, we're going to need somebody that can play over there, and that can help us if we need them in a crunch or we need them as a starter. So that's important. We've talked about the interior of the offensive line too. That's important. So, we've been digging, we've been looking at stuff, but until we can kind of figure a little bit of those pieces out, and then exactly who is going to be available, who are we going to have the ability to potentially go after, how does that affect another position or the depth of the roster? Then we're waiting it out here a little bit.
Now there was a report after this aired yesterday, especially coming off the heels of Tyler Linderbaum, that there is a center from the Carolina Panthers that allegedly the Detroit Lions have interest in.
David's another guy we talked at the very end of the year, and I told him
Okay, I cannot wait to hear this question. Shout out to Big Black Coffee. Let me put myself on screen for the super chat. Says with the $5 super chat says Dan Campbell crush the can. Dan Campbell crushed the can pass rush and defensive philosophy have got to change. I'm really hoping he and Brad willing to change. Dan Campbell crushed the can pass rush. Okay, Black, what does that mean, bro? What is that? What is crush the can? Like, you mean like crush the can as in against your head, like that metaphor you're using? And I agree with you. Because the philosophy, whatever that philosophy is, it wasn't working. So this question appears to be about David Montgomery.
I was not, I like to give these guys their space and just let them kind of unwind a little bit in their own way. They don't need me in their ear. But certainly he knows how I feel. Drew loves him, who wouldn't? This guy's he's a heck of a back, and so we'll see where everything's at, Certainly there's been healthy conversations, I'm sure Brad told you guys, probably mentioned that. So All good, man. David's a pro, so figure this out.
All right. I like Dan Campbell's words more than Brad's. We'll figure it out. To me, that says he's staying. I don't know. Maybe it's saying something to you different. Maybe I'm just more inclined to Dan Campbell than I am Brad. Maybe it's that too. Eagle says, Derek, do you agree Dan needs less bumps? Dan needs less bumps in the morning to cut back on those sniffles. Well, I don't know what bumps as in, are we talking about drugs, bro? Well, one thing that I wish he would do is, I mean, you know, if he was my dad, right? Well, we're close to the same age, so he couldn't be if he was my brother, I'd be like, yo, would you stop with the chew? Like, you know what I'm saying? I hear they make these things that are nicotine free or tobacco free, so you got to do that. But probably the coffee bump. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that terminology, my friend.
There is an initiative with the Office of Roger Goodell's communications team to cure a rare fatal disease that's been terminal for 70 years, and it's in 8 NFL markets. And one of them is an hour away from Detroit Stadium. And I'm curious to know if you wouldn't mind. It's called PCAN, Pantothenic Kinase Associated Neurodegeneration. An initiative started in the Super Bowl, and I'm curious to know if you wouldn't mind reconnecting with Jesse Giambra or someone on your staff to give them more information.
Give me a minute. All right. That's yeah.
Okay, so I don't know who that was. Shout out to the homie that asked it. It seemed like it was important. Wait for Dan Campbell to say, I'm going to talk to you to the side, big dog. That might have been the longest combine question I've ever seen. It was almost like that dude was a scout or a plant or something. But shout out to whatever he was talking about. It seemed important.
That's tough to say. You know, we've been treating him. He's done a few things. We're in a I would say we're in the position now to where we're slowly working him back. You know, what is this going to look like? How is it going to feel? Call it a month from now, maybe a month and a half. And then I think we'll have a lot better idea, because is this something where he's going to be able to handle what it's going to feel like, or can we get it stable enough? Can we get enough strength? It's all of those things.
All right, so I think that was a Kirby Joseph question. Based on that response from Dan Campbell, low-key, I'm terrified. Because Dan Campbell was saying the same thing during the season. He was saying the exact same thing. That's low-key terrifying. So I guess the reports of Kirby maybe being done, they could be onto something, because I'm like, yo, Kirby's been shelved since what, October something? So, and Dan, it sounds like the same way it did during the season.
Well, I think there's a level of maturity with him. He did grow, you know. He made some plays for us when we called his number. And he's tough, man. He which is one of the things we loved about him. You know, we asked him to do some of the dirty work. He did that. He played teams for us. I just thought, you know, it's hard for rookies to really help you and contribute in their first year. And I think receiver, it's real hard sometimes. Just because we put so much on those guys from a mental standpoint to have to do it. And I thought, man, you look at where he was from game one to the very last game, he improved. And there would be nothing to tell me that he's not going to take another step this year. You know, I think we're going into camp a little bit with some confidence in this guy. And that's important as a rookie. It's important. No, it wasn't that. It was just the way that he talked and the way that he saw the game. Man, his confidence, his conviction, his knowledge, his detail and everything, and why he was doing what he was doing and what he was thinking and how he was teaching it. Throw curveballs at him, man. He was all over it. It was good, man. It was. I just loved the way that I loved his presence, and I loved the way that he taught, and I loved the detail behind it. And then I've seen the tape. I know what the tape is. And I just think he's a creative guy and can make things happen with, you know, tell me what I got and I'll figure this out. I love that.
You mentioned the offensive staff, you're putting that together. How important
I think it's very important. I do. I think all of those guys, you're always looking for something that is maybe a little bit unique or rare, or that somebody has that the other guy doesn't, because now you can kind of help each other out and you can lift each other up. And I do feel like we have that. It was important to keep this staff intact. What we did last year, what I did last year, look, it didn't work. It wasn't the perfect setup. I thought we would be able to work through those a little bit better than we did. Didn't work out, all good. We'll move this way. But I love the staff that is here intact. I know they'll be able to work with Drew. Drew will be able to give those guys the directive, and they'll respond. That's what they do, man. Our guys are doers. They go to work. So I'm fired up about it.
All right, so I don't know why comments are getting deleted. I'm not deleting any. That was a question about, I'm assuming Drew Petzing, and I do like the accountability from Campbell, the admitting to the mistake that was Johnny Morton. So, see, look, I don't think I'm picking on Brad. I really don't. I see more in this press conference than I did in the last two from Holmes.
Yeah, so Mike Clark, I'm glad you brought that up. Director of Strength Performance is retiring. Somebody I've known a long time, been in this profession for 50 years. And, he's one of these, you go inside those circles, he's a legend. And I've lived it firsthand. The guy's been unbelievable. I've loved the program, everything that he's brought to the table. So we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him. But he felt like it was time, and Josh Schuler will be head strength coach, and he'll be running that area, taking care of business over there. He's earned that as well. He's learned from Mike, so we're excited moving forward. Yeah, well, here's what I say about Declan. Even from the time when I was with him in New Orleans, somebody made a comment about how young he seems, right? And he is young, but even back then, think about this. This was, 18, 19. I don't know what that was now. But you're talking about another 7 years. He was 7 years younger. He was you would never know it. The way that he, the questions that he asked, the way that he taught, the information he gave to the players or ideas that he had, he had a lot of conviction. Understands football, asks the right questions. He's always trying to solve problems. And when he coaches, you see him. He comes alive. Before that, he's a little low key. But man, the minute the football is laid out, you see his passion. So I'm not surprised one bit. I'm not surprised that Ben hired him. He did a great job, and now he's where he's at. So I think this guy's going to just do this.
When do you override tape?
Override tape for a player? You're talking about for this, like the combine, these override tape? Never, I don't think. I don't know what would override that. I think the tape is always going to speak louder than anything else. And if the tape doesn't speak, then it doesn't matter anything else, really. That's probably the best way to say it.
More guys. You mentioned, your defensive staff changes, stuff you guys want to do as a coaching staff. What on that side of the ball would you like to see more out of the players, or some changes you guys might make this offseason?
Well, I think there's a number of things. We'll tell the players when we come in, some things that we can clean up. And I think more importantly, man, now that it's for the most part, it's the same system. But, man, we evolved last year and doing a lot more things, trying to create a lot more looks to the opponent, create more headaches. Was it perfect? Of course it wasn't perfect. But, God, there's so much room to grow. So I think it's more about the players now, who is the most instinctual, who has the highest intellect when it comes to defensive football with where we're at, Detroit Lions. Well, figure out who that is and get to their level. Like, how do we get to the next level? All of our guys. And I think that's really what it's about is, man, we're out of this first, second level, and we get to 401. If we can do that and add a couple of things, tweak a few things, I love where we could go with this. So I think that's the big thing.
Last two, Bolton and Dave.
Yeah, I do. I think that's going to be important for us. However we go about that, and it's easier said than done. You only have so many resources to be able to do it, but I do think it's important. If you can't say, and I'm not saying we would or we wouldn't, but if you can't say for sure, I know without any question, without any doubt, the player that we're going to acquire or that we sign is a starter, then he better be able to shake it up. You know what I mean? He better be able to, well, we know this. He's going to go in there and create a lot of chaos in a good way, healthy chaos, healthy competition, and make sure that those guys are constantly, somebody's always dangling the carrot. And because I just think that there again, it lifts the floor, man. And if it lifts the floor, it makes your whole team better. Yeah, I think there's always that balancing act between, and when I think of splash, you're saying name recognition, right? So I don't think of it like that, but I think if it aligns to where the splash, the money, and the player all meet, because it's worthy of that on the tape, then absolutely. But then if you do that, you're out everything else. So the competition, the depth, the quality depth, or that would suffer. So is it worth it? And that's the juggling act that Brad and I constantly go through, and we think through, and what is right, and what should we do? What can we do? Do we have the resources? So all of those conversations we've had, we continue to have, and they're all good, because they make you go through all this whole process of figuring out what's the best way to get our team a little bit better, man, and get over the hump.
Thank you, guys.
Say it again. Oh, God, yeah. I thought you were like, you didn't. No, it's not you. It's not you. I love Blau. I mean, he was one of the guys that I wanted to bring in, and Coach Quinn and those guys went ahead and named him OC, which is smart by them. I think Blau is a young, rising coach in this league. I've been around him firsthand, and he's another one, man. He's sharp. He understands football and quarterback play. He knows the run game. And he's a detailed guy, and he's competitive, man. He's very competitive. So I think he's going to do a great job.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thanks.
All right, one thing I do like about the new system is that when the screen is not on the main screen, the sound goes out as well, which is a problem. You could hear sound from everywhere, so it's kind of like a gift and a curse. It's allowing me to bring on guests, but it's also making my screen record game a lot harder. All right, so I'm guessing that Braylon's reaction, but let me just go to the last two things that he said. Shout out to Dave Burkett, who asked a free agency question, and a question before that about free agency and making this team better. We've heard these things before about if you get that one guy, you're gonna take away. If you get guy A, you're gonna take away from being able to get guy B, C, and D. And we've heard this before. And look at the results. So it was something that stood out to me. Dan Campbell said the guys that they bring in, if they're not able to be starters, then they got to be something. They got to be able to do something. So I would be looking for starters on this team. Maybe that means that the Lions are done taking throwaway guys that just for depth purposes. So again, I'm more critical of Brad Holmes because Brad Holmes is ultimately the one that makes the decisions on whether or not you're a Detroit Lion. The first person that you speak to when you're drafted is Brad Holmes. He's the one that calls you. Then you speak to coach. Then you speak to the owner. So that's why I hold Brad Holmes accountable much more than Dan Campbell. So I think the reaction, so as far as the chat, this has been like the slowest moving chat that I've seen in a long time. So I don't know if YouTube is doing something. Trey said, why are my comments getting deleted? I have no idea. I'm not deleting anybody's comments. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I have no clue what's happening with that. We just got this news just a couple seconds ago. The Titans are releasing center Lloyd Cushenberry, and they added this. They also are releasing safety Xavier Woods. Cushenberry was released with a failed physical designation. So, let me see. I put something in my bookmarks, which was the tweet right before that. Ian said, the Titans are releasing starting center Lloyd Cushenberry, sources say, moving on from a former big-ticket free agent tight end. He signed a 4-year, $50 million deal 2 years ago and was due $8 million this season. Now Cam will have a new center. Then he added in the comment section. What did he add? He added in the comment section that he was coming off of shoulder surgery, but he should be able to go. He should be ready for the 2026 season. So again, I don't know what's happening with the chat. We got 109 people in here. The chat rate is 1. I don't know if anybody is having problems with the chat, but I believe that there's something wrong. My settings are still the same, so I don't know what's going on there. But to have, usually we have a rate of about 10 people a minute, 10 comments a minute. This is not like that. So I have no idea what's going on at all. So that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to me for the first 15, 20 minutes. And then again, in between, I think now that the season is over, I just have had time to reflect on some things, right? And realizing that, I don't know, just, I need to see, right, from this team. So anyway, me and the maintenance man, we were talking, and he felt the same. He felt the same way. So anyway, guys, have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you on Friday. I don't know what's up with the chat. It's weird.
Hello, good morning. Horns is blowing, and I'm pissing off the neighbors. Whether homegrown or imported, we feeling shorted, cause we waiting on our paper. So next time, when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, where we get back on our feet. Next time, when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, when we get back on our feet. Yeah, you don't know about the day, you don't know about the streets, cause when you're in the motor city, nothing is as pretty as the hustle. You don't know about the day, you don't know about the streets, cause when you're in the motor city, everything ain't pretty, but it's love though. Next time, when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, where we get back on our feet. Next time, when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, when we get back on our feet. Yeah.